For E, we want to find two numbers that are going to add to 25 to negative 25. And then we know that they need to add because this number right here, or this sign right here, is a plus, which means either the two numbers both need to be positive or the two numbers both need to be negative. And in either case, they need to add to 25. We know it needs to add to a negative number, so we know that both of these guys are negative. 25 times 6 is 150, so we know that they also need to multiply to 150. So I'm going to do my little quick list of factors to the side. 150, 275, 350. 4 does not go in. I know because if I wanted to do 150 divided by 4, I would take 75 and divide it by 2, because that 2 would come out and multiply here to make it into 4. So 4 does not go in. 5 does. That is 30. 6 does go in because I can take this 3 guy. If I take 50 and divide it by 2, that 2 will come out and multiply to the 3. So it's 25. 7 does not go in. 8 does not go in because 4 does not go in. 9 does not go in. 10 does, though, and it's 10 and 15. And there we have our two numbers that add to 25. Negative 10 and negative 15 will add to 25 or subtract to negative 25. So now I take this middle term and I split it into negative 10x and negative 15x. Again, it does not matter which one goes first. Not squared, just a regular. Plus 6. And then I take out my greatest common factor, which in this case is going to be 5x. And then here is going to be negative 3, which changes this to a minus 2. Take out my greatest common factor again, which is 5x minus 2, and we're left with 5x minus 3. I do a quick double check to say, hey, is there a greatest common factor in here that I didn't catch? And there isn't. So we're done. We can move on. F. For F, we are finding two numbers that multiply to negative 32, 16 times negative 2. Since this is a negative, that means one of these guys needs to be positive, one of these guys needs to be negative, which means the difference then needs to be 4. We want a difference of 4. So looking at my factor list, 132, 216, 3, 4, 8, 5, 6, and that's it. We see that this guy has a difference of 8, or a difference of 4. We want it to be a positive 4, so we need to do positive 8 minus 4 will give us a difference of 4. Split my middle term. Take out my greatest common factor. I do need to make sure to take out that negative. Almost always, if it's a negative for the second term, you need to take out the second negative, or you need to take out the negative as a result. That's 2x plus 1. I do a quick check, and I did not spot a greatest common factor, but in this case, it was okay. It ended up working out just fine because now I can take out my greatest common factor here, which is 2, which means up above, I had a greatest common factor of 2. So if you did that first, awesome, you are doing a great job. That's definitely the goal, is to do it first, but sometimes you forget. So it's always good to stop and take a look at what's going on here. And if you see a greatest common factor, take it out now so it's fully factored. Yes, this is a factored version of the answer, but it is not the correct answer. It is not fully factored. So if you don't take out 2 as your greatest common factor here, then it will not be fully factored. Okay, last problem. This one was a bit of a doozy, so we'll see how well you guys did. We need two numbers that have a difference of 81, and they multiply to negative 1,440. This is definitely where your factor list comes in handy. It's also really nice to know a few things about factors and prime factors. I don't know if you remember ever talking about your prime factor trees where you can take a number and split it down into its prime factors. But keeping in mind how to divide things out and how factors work within a number is actually really helpful. And it was kind of something that you did a little bit on your Sudoku guy. If you maybe thought about like factors that worked well with certain numbers, then maybe you have that mindset already kind of going, which is great. So let's talk about a few things that you can think about when you're looking at factors. So one, it's just a good place to start for me. I like to do it. To do 1 in the 1,440. And then 2, we divide this guy by 2, so that's 723. This guy is divisible by 3. How I know that is if I add 1, 4, 4, and 0 all together, I get 9. And 9 is divisible by 3. So it is divisible by 3. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to really quickly use my calculator. It is 480. Okay, number 4. If I know that it is divisible by 2, then the next question is the remaining factor when you divide by 2 also divisible by 2? Because then if you divide out 2 again, then those two 2's would combine to become a 4. So since this is divisible by 2 again, I know it's divisible by 4. And the answer there would be 360. 5, I know it's divisible by 5. 6, how I know that it's divisible by 6 is that I can take the divide by 3, and if I can take the remaining factor and divide it by 2, then that 2 and the 3 would combine to make 6. Or I could take the 2 here and take the remaining factor. 7 plus 2 is 9, which is divisible by 3, which means that 720 is divisible by 3. So I could either divide this guy by 2 or divide this guy by 3 and find out what is the remainder when I divide by 6. So 480 divided by 2, which is something you can do in your head, is 240. 7 is hard. You just kind of have to do it, and it's not divisible by 7. It is divisible by 8 because I take the 4 and see the remaining factor is divisible by 2. So 1,440 divided by 8 is going to be 180. It is divisible by 9, and how you know that is either you could say, well, I know that this is divisible by 3 because 4 plus 8 is 12, which is divisible by 3. It also works with 9 if you add all the terms up originally and divide it, and it's divisible by 9, then the whole number is divisible by 9. So 1 plus 4 plus 4 is 9, which is divisible by 9, which means that the whole number is divisible by 9. Man, I'm saying divisible a lot. 160. 10 goes in, it's 144. 11 does not. 12, this guy is divisible by 4, which means that the whole thing will be divisible by 12. We're getting closer to a difference of 81, but not quite yet. 13 does not go in. 14 does not go in because 7 does not go in. So if 7 doesn't go in, then a multiple of 7 definitely wouldn't go in. 15 does go in because this is divisible by 3. 16, 18, so that would be divisible by 3. So then if I do 288 divided by 3 is 96. So then 15 and 96. 16 is, I take the 8 guy and divide it by 2. 17 does not. 18 does not. 18 does. Oh, yes, because this divided by 2. Anyway, we can stop here because hopefully you found the difference of 81 is right here, 15 and 96. If you subtract those out, you get 81. Since I want a negative 81, that means I need to do a positive 15 and a negative 96 in order for them to subtract to a negative. I'm going to split my middle term. Take out greatest common factor, which is 5x. Greatest common factor here is 12. Take out the negative because we don't want negatives in there, and we're left with 8x plus 3. Take out your greatest common factor again. And you're done. This one was a tough one. Good job.